Welcome back to Relationships at Work, your guide to building workplace connections and avoiding those leadership blind spots. I'm your host, Russel Lolacher, a communications and leadership nerd with a couple of successful decades of experience in both of those areas and a whole heap of curiosity on how we can make the workplace a better place. If you're a leader trying to understand and improve your impact on work culture and the employee experience, well, you're in the right place. This, in your ear, I guess, is where it sits, is a mini episode of the podcast, just a quick and valuable bit of information on top of our other weekly shows, which are guest episodes, which comes out every Tuesday. These are just teeny tiny. They're usually around 10 minutes or so, all inspired by our free weekly Raw Note newsletter, which you can totally subscribe to on the website. Today's topic: the ends cannot, should not, please don't justify the means. To be a leader, it's important to deliver our product or service, to hit our targets, write that report, do that research, make those decisions, etc., etc., all for the prosperity of the organization. And those are all deliverables. Super important. But does the health of the organization and our employees fit into that? Shouldn't that also be part of the process? The end should never justify the means. Now, I want to tell you a story that really brought this to light for me. I had a conversation with a friend of mine who was just lauding over the great leadership of someone I knew. I also knew for a fact that that person was a horrible leader. Horrible. They were actually in the top 5 of worst leaders I'd ever known. But I was super curious. So I just listened to them go on and on about how great they were. I didn't contradict them. I just sat and I listened as we were walking. And I just stopped when they finished to ask the question, why do you think this person is a great leader? Her response was interesting. She said, she always gets me what I need when I need it. That's it. That to her was great leadership. And that said a lot. Probably a lot more than she realized. What I knew was that same great leader, there's some serious air quotes here, great leader, had hugely high turnover, a horrible relationship and reputation with their teams, and was willing to burn out and bully anyone she had power over to deliver what her bosses needed. Now, how is that great leadership? To my friend who looked at it from a delivery standpoint, it was. To anyone actually working with that leader, it was not. It was traumatic. One of the biggest problems we have in addressing the cultures that allow for bad leadership is the belief that the ends justify the means. It can't. The end should never justify the means. This approach, as the dictionary tells me, is about a desired result so good or important that any method, even a morally bad one, may be used to achieve it. That's the definition of it. Now, these are leadership actions with little regard for the wreckage they cause. They can break cultures, destroy mental health, crush innovation, crush productivity. People are seen as replaceable. Work just needs to get done. I have to make my boss happy. I hope none of this sounds familiar to you. I mean, who would want to work for or put in any inspired effort for this type of leader? As leaders, we just have to be aware of the impact we have in pursuit of delivering a thing. Success can't just be, we did it, check. We'll have so many cracks in our cultures if we do. So how can we ensure our organizations don't follow this path? Well, I'm so glad you asked. Invest, at least in these key strategies. First, establish and uphold some ethical standards. Create, communicate them, live them, treat them as a living document that is upheld and enforced at every level. Add some training, add a little bit of discussions on ethical issues to reinforce it. If ethics are a part of the DNA of an organization, then it'll more easily help highlight what is wrong and what is right behavior. Another is a transparent decision-making process. Clear communication on the reasons for those decisions is essential. Share the criteria used to make those decisions and expected outcomes. People don't necessarily even need to agree with what you say or why you make those decisions, but they do need to know why you make those decisions so they can come to grips with it and they can understand you as a leader. Whether it's in hiring, new policies, reorgs, changing of priorities, whatever, knowing the what and the why, it just builds trust. And again, like I said, even if teams don't agree with it. And last, encourage open dialogue and whistleblowing. I said it, whistleblowing. Promote that free speech. Promote those channels that employees can report unethical behavior without fear of retribution. That is so key. Make sure that psychological safety is in there so employees feel like they can whistleblow, whether that's anonymous reporting or regular meetings to share those concerns. Then as leaders, show you've heard and understand, and then act. And if you don't act, refer to my earlier statement on that transparent decision making. The ends can never justify the means. Never. But in a busy organization that is expected to deliver regularly, it can happen organically because we're too busy. We're already moving on to the next thing. Delivering becomes the culture, which forces our amazing, inspiring, and creative people to feel and be treated like disposable, replaceable parts in an assembly line that doesn't seem to ever end. That will kill creativity, it'll kill retention, innovation, all the good things. Now, productivity is essential. You have to deliver. You have to. That's part of business. That's part of what the organization is there to do. I know that. You know that. But it should never be at the expense of the soul and humanity of the organization. We know better. I hope that resonated with you. I hope that made you maybe tweak your thoughts around what we do and how we do it and the ripple effects that it might have. Thank you so much for joining me. That was another episode of Relationships at Work, your guide to building workplace relationships and avoiding leadership blind spots. If you get a chance and you're looking for a little bit more material in regards to blind spots and building connection, I encourage you to check out the newly relaunched Raw Notes. Yep, it is my weekly newsletter, all free. You just go to relationshipsatwork.ca or russellolacher.com. And right at the top, you can subscribe and you'll get guest takeaways, guest leadership resources that they recommend, some of my thoughts on how we can improve leadership mindset, and some things that are coming up on the show that I really want you to know about. I hope you'll join me there. Take care.